I was always told the worst monsters were in my head, but it wasn't until I looked into the eyes of my final victim that I realized the monster had always been me. Are you sure you want to hear this? It started on a cold winter night, the kind that makes your bones ache, where every breath feels like inhaling shards of ice. I was 19, young, reckless, and frankly unfeeling. But even back then, I knew something was wrong with me. Most people feel guilt when they hurt someone, don't they? But I felt nothing. Can you imagine that? Nothing. No remorse. No regret. Just emptiness. A brief silence. And that's when I knew it was only a matter of time before I gave in to those dark urges. You might be thinking, what happened next? Well, it didn't take long. But here's where it gets twisted. It wasn't random. She wasn't a stranger. No, it was someone close. Very close. Her name was Laura. We'd been friends since childhood. Always inseparable, or so she thought. But there was something about her that made me snap. Maybe it was the way she looked at me, like she saw right through my lies. Like she knew. I couldn't have that, could I? I invited her over one night. Everything seemed normal. We watched a movie. We laughed. We talked about life like we always did. Until the moment came when I saw my opportunity. Do you know what it's like to see the life drain from someone's eyes right in front of you? It's intoxicating, but it was so quiet. Too quiet. The silence. That's what haunts me the most. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to watch someone you care about stop breathing? Because of you? I didn't think so. Most people can't even fathom it. But me? I was fascinated. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That wasn't the worst part. You want to hear about what I did next. I couldn't let her just disappear. That would be too easy, too forgettable. I needed her to stay close, to remind me of what I'd done. So I kept her. For days, weeks even, I lived with her, hidden in plain sight. I'll let you fill in the blanks. You're probably wondering how I didn't get caught. Well, let's just say I was careful. I became good at blending in, pretending to be the grieving friend, when in reality, I was reliving the moment every time I walked past the place I kept her. Picture this, a cold, dark basement, the stench of decay creeping into your nostrils, and there in the corner, the remains of a life you once knew slowly withering away, while you go about your day as if nothing is wrong. But the thing about secrets is, they never stay buried forever. Eventually, someone always finds out, and when they did, things took an unexpected turn. Her family, they started to ask questions, and I could feel their suspicion growing. I thought I was so clever, covering my tracks. But there was one mistake, just one, that unraveled it all. You know, they say guilt makes you sloppy. Maybe that's what it was. Or maybe deep down, I wanted to get caught. Either way, when the police came knocking, I knew the game was over. But here's the kicker. When they asked me where Laura was, I smiled. I smiled because, at that moment, I realized that the true horror wasn't in the crime itself, but in the fact that I had enjoyed every second of it. Do you think I'm a monster yet? Or are you starting to wonder, what would it take for you to cross that line? After all, we're not that different, are we? They arrested me, of course, but that wasn't the end. Oh no, not by a long shot. The real darkness? That came after. So here I am years later, incarcerated, locked away from the world. And yet, I feel freer now than I ever did. Isn't that ironic? I took a life, and yet, It feels like I've been reborn. Do you want to know why I'm telling you all this? Because I want you to feel what I feel. I want you to understand that deep down there's a darkness in all of us. Some are just better at hiding it. But the scariest part of all, this isn't the end of my story. No, there's more to come. And if you've made it this far, maybe you're ready to hear the next chapter. The next confession is just around the corner. And who knows, maybe it's already happening. Maybe it's you. Are you sure you can trust the person sitting next to you?